Who are these people?
Who are these people? Hi, everyone. Oh, God, that's a way to start the show. God, I didn't want to show that freaking chat. Sorry, Sean. Oh, all right. Well, before we get started, let me share my screen with Reef so that he doesn't have to ask me while we're in the middle of the show. That'll be nice. Hi, everybody. This is How Do We Miss That? All right. We're live. Hi. This is Indy. That's Reef. We are here to do this again one more time. The damn thing. For the 150th fucking time. 150 episodes of How Do We Miss That? This is episode 150. Proud as shit of that. Thank you, everyone, for...
You think after 150 he'd learn to, like, slow down and, you know, make sure everything's together and not show DMs and...
I didn't show DMs. No, what I was showing was a chat from Sean that said that he was on the shitter eating hot wings. My bad. So
why would you do that at the same time? It doesn't make much sense.
Because, well,
you know,
it is Sunday and football is over, but that doesn't mean that the fun has to end, obviously. So yeah, Sean the Accord Lord is hanging out, of course. Rat Angel, I see Rat Angel in the chat. Good to see you. Angel Rivera, he had a special on earlier that you should definitely go check out when this is over tomorrow. He broke down the Ukraine war and Russia's role in it, and did we provoke it? Did they? And exactly how did that go down? So definitely check that out. Lots and lots of things to check out on INN right now. Very proud of that. So, and we got a lot to cover tonight. Holy crap. So I want to not waste much time to get into it and at least make an appeal right now that if you are able and of means, please support the networks and support the independent media that you want to see. The best ways to do that are via Cash App, $, Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, and paypal.me/Indie News Network. You can sign up for newsletters and alerts at innnewsletter.com, and that's totally free. You can also support with an annual or monthly contribution there, too. How's everybody doing? It's been a week. Desert Mantis is here. Cool. Colin did not provoke the Ukraine war. That is fake news, sir. Fake news. Cookies is in the chat. What's up, Cookies? Tell them Slurms McKenzie. The party never ends. That's right. Vicky Adams. Good to see you again tonight. I know you hung out last night for our Golden Monarch chat. That was great. Thank you for that. And shout out to Oz for hope he feels better. He's not feeling so hot right now, but hopefully they're going to be back next week.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Thank you. We'll do it live. Speakers.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So we're on the Discord right now. We are live on 7 platforms. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Rumble. And for the first time ever, Rumble chat I actually is coming into our restream and everything's kind of integrated. And people from YouTube can now see the Rumble chats, which is different. Now, Rumble can't see YouTube back, unfortunately, yet. Restream is still working on relay chat. But at least the YouTube people can bring in and see that there's something going on in somebody at Rumble and what they're saying, which is great. And of course, I can always put it up on screen too. Dingo Ate Me Baby is over on Rumble right now. Hi, fam. Good to see you. And it just came through, I'm guessing, on the chats too, and people saw it on YouTube. So, what else? So 7 platforms, but we're also live, and I'm going to very special... Well, I'm not supposed to do this today. All right, so there's a website coming, and some people know about it already, but I was told to not announce it anymore yet because it'll overload the servers. But so far, everybody loves it, and I'm excited about it. It's coming soon. So we're going to be able to watch live, but we are live on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, Kick, Odysee, and Bitchute. And shout out to Bitchute, man. Bitchute invited me to a panel discussion on Friday But the problem is we got our time screwed up. It was actually Thursday noon, and they said Thursday midnight. So I'll be on the next one for sure. This one was about constitutional law and what Trump's doing with it. There was T-Lav and Sticks and Hexenhammer with a couple of lawyers. Bruce Fine and another lawyer was on there. I'll be on another one. That would have been very cool. And of course, there was Kit. I was on with Kit Thursday night. We did a special stream about Rockfin, where we are not live right now. So fuck Rockfin. All right. And then, of course, once we are done here, we're going to go over to the Ocho on here and on Rumble for boats. Reef will run that. He's been curating the show all day, working his butt off, like always, for everyone. Happy daylight savings time. Holy crap. Seven Sword Mary. Let me tell you, that snuck up on all of us. It definitely crept up on me. I had no idea. And I was literally sitting there working last night, and I thought it was 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30. And I looked at my thing. I'm like, wait, how's it 3:30 already? I got to get to bed. And as it turned out, then I looked at my clock on the night table. Oh, yeah. God damn it. Well, that was tonight. So, yes, good to see you, Seven Sword Mary, over on Substack. Go check out Mary over there. Fine, not a Trump fan. No, definitely not. And that's fine. Bruce Fine. This isn't Sean Fain, but Bruce Fine, constitutional lawyer. But he's also not a Trump fan, which is fine. Which is good and fine. And his name is fine and everything. So, stories. I hate talking about Trump. So again, we're going to talk about what's happening with Trump in office. And now that he's here, what's changing? Not much. And it's much of the same policies continued. That's what we're seeing. We're going to get into Israeli war crimes this week. And then we're going to talk specifically about Barnard College. And there was another update today. I'm still getting to that one. This was curated last night. So the guy who was arrested, somebody was arrested today, taken into custody. There's a big petition about it. And that's definitely a problem. I've got plenty that you can see tons of fuckery going on from Israel and influencing Columbia University and Barnard College directly. And we talked, my conversation with Gen X Girl, 1994, she pointed out that there was a private WhatsApp thread that was going on between billionaires, city officials, Columbia officials, and maybe even federal officials, all coordinating efforts on what to do with students. So we're going to get into that. Then I got a bunch of other stuff that for you to check out afterwards. So, wow.
People can't see this at home, but you have that Estonian MP on your other screen, and he's just a fucking
do I need to put that
of
up?
a character.
Do I need to? All right, I'll put it up. I'll put that up for people to see because it is funny.
Just
And
like,
Reeves staring at it looks like Al Davis's son, Mark Davis.
Oh my god, dude! What the fuck is that guy, bro?
The Estonian member
stop
of
going to
Parliament,
Supercuts, dude.
who has demanded
Stop
that
going to
Russia
Supercuts.
comply
They're
with the
fucking your
Minsk
shit
peace
up,
agreements.
dude.
Holy shit! That
But stop. Pause. Go back to that fucking motherfucker's hairline. First of all, he's got like one hairline, and then it comes down, and then it comes down again.
it's a staircase.
Then back up around his ear. Like what? Who thought, bro? Did no one let you look in the mirror when you? Oh, dude,
I think he did it himself.
Queer Eye for the Straight guy needs to help you out. You
Look,
know?
and it's not like this is exactly in a straight line or anything.
No, it's
That's all
fucked.
choppy and shit.
Everything's fucked about it.
Oh
What
my
the
god! But
fuck,
wait a
dude?
minute, the back of his hair
Like-
looks pretty tight. The back there looks
And
pretty
then
straight.
it feels like he only has one half of a mustache. That's the other problem. You know, he's
he's
got
definitely
that
got
half
something
gone.
going on right there. No,
The
there's
other
something
half
there,
is
but
there.
I think it's the angle of the face that you're looking at. But damn,
I don't know, man.
this is
Dude, it's
hauntingly,
fucked.
frighteningly disgusting. Oh shit! Yeah, let me show everyone.
That's a world leader.
There you go, everyone. I'm like, why isn't everybody laughing in chat? Because I didn't show screen. Holy shit,
Oh.
everyone. Look at that.
Dude.
There you go,
Like-
everyone. And here, no, I can't zoom in any further. But my word, look at that. There's the staircase by the sideburns. There's the up and
it's
around.
Completely fucked, man.
My word.
Sorry, it's just that's what I was looking at this whole time, being
Enjoy,
like, bro, that
everyone.
dude's a fucking Muppet.
Enjoy. Yes, I have my Twitter
No offense
open
to Muppets.
to the left of the show stuff. Then only Reef can see it. That's great.
What the fuck? That's what Estonian MP.
Dingo says that's
who that
Lego
is, right?
Lego figure hair.
Dude, what?
I love
Dickie
it.
Adams, funny.
Who's that? That is an Estonian
Scroll up.
MP
Yeah, Estonian
who has
MP.
demanded that Russia comply with the Minsk peace agreements.
What a fucking bro! Stop going to supercuts, dog. We need to talk. I know you got the coupons.
Bro,
I know you got the supercut coupons, but
this needs to be explained.
This is
Why do
not
I need
where
to
it's
see
at.
the top of your ear like that? What the hell happened? Did you have
Dude.
surgery? Was there
Oh my
surgery?
God,
I'm
dude.
doing surgery. Oh,
it's
boy.
like
Okay.
the worst Lego hair you could fucking imagine. It's just
Oh my
popped right
word.
on top of that dome.
Oh my word!
You know,
All right. So
you got the bad pulls.
speaking of
So
the orange, lovely president of ours, and Trump is no free speech warrior. He's just as guilty of censorship as Biden. Trump, Biden, dude, they're the same guy, the same policies in so many ways. So this is Ricky at Council of State Media, a Indie Media Award honoree. All right. The Trump administration is making it easier for payment apps like PayPal to ban users for any reason, and we've talked about this extensively, which is why I brought this, including expressing opinions they disapprove of. We've seen this for years. Richard Medhurst we've known that if you mention the word Syria or Palestine in any kind of PayPal payment, they'll refund it or they'll block it from getting through. Okay, what it says is that this means we could be entering a world where you're not allowed to earn money unless your opinions meet the approval of corporations. This would be the ultimate way to shield our dying systems of capitalism and imperialism. The Republican plan is to repeal a rule implemented by the CFPB to require companies to resolve disputes in a smooth and timely manner. The change would make it much harder for customers to challenge unfair decisions, and they could very deliberately be left in limbo. PayPal, of course, has been partnering with our friends at the ADL, an organization that seems to exist solely to shut down criticism of Israel under the guise of fighting anti-Semitism and racism. In this era of mass surveillance and artificial intelligence, we can easily find ourselves demonetized for saying something as simple as Free Palestine, and that is very much the goal here. All right, so ominously, the ADL announced recently in a press release, and this is a warning to all of us content creators, quote, the initiative with PayPal will be led through ADL's Center on Extremism, a leading authority on extremism, terrorism, and hate. PayPal and ADL will focus on further uncovering and disrupting the financial pipelines that support extremist and hate movements. In addition to extremist and anti-government organizations, the initiative will focus on actors and networks spreading and profiting from all forms of hate and bigotry against any community. Whoa. Okay. It's worth pointing out that the ADL considers pro-Palestinian activism to be a form of anti-Semitism, even though Palestinians are Semites, as its own press release that it is says it's targeting anti-government organizations, so you can imagine the type of extremism it's going after. Now, this is the New Republic, the official shitlib bureau there is. Okay, the ADL has abandoned all pretense of tracking anti-Semitism properly. Okay, they just admit it counts all pro-Palestine activism as anti-Semitic. That was last January. Fewer than half of all of Americans now are sympathetic toward Israel. Again, I discount all polling right now, but the Americans that know about what's going on in Israel are certainly not sympathetic towards Israel right now. And more ways, people are waking up to the horrors of imperialism, so the empire is finding ways to silence its critics. And one of the best ways to do that is to deny those with influence the ability to earn money. So much for free speech, so much for the free market.
Such free, much wow.
All that free speech.
Yep.
All right. One of the most frustrating aspects of this story is that many Republicans who are backing the law change had previously spoken against debanking. This will come as no surprise to our readers who are well too aware of Republican hypocrisy. The Trump administration are no more champions of free speech than they are of anti-imperialism, and only a fool would think otherwise. Again, think about the Republican reaction to the debanking of the Canadian truckers.
Truckers, yep, I was about to say. And think about some other groups' reactions to that, too, who are now talking about the debanking as we speak. So, just saying.
Republican voters need to learn that their party is not on their side any more than the Democrats are. Both parties are awful, but too many voters are only able to see the evil in their team. Or in the other team. They can see the evil in their team too, but they ignore it. We spent years criticizing Democrats for this, and it's only right when we turn our attention to Republicans now that they're in charge. And I honestly heard a similar sentiment last night from Marcus Cage on the Political Matrix. Shout out to Marcus. He said, look, I criticized Trump when he was in office before. I'm going to criticize Biden when he was in office. And now that Trump's back in, I'm going to criticize him again, too. Same here.
Mm-hmm.
Call like we see it and challenge the people that are actually in power. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Whereas Trump is right to call for peace in Ukraine, even though he's really kind of playing both sides of the fence like he does everywhere else. He's obviously doing it for the wrong reasons. Agreed. Similarly,
it just feels good to sit on that fence, but whatever.
Well, he likes doing that. Similarly, easy for me to say. Speak English. Do you speak it?
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Thank you. Similarly, he is right to criticize Europe for its attacks on free speech, but he is doing that for the wrong reasons too, naturally. Trump is every bit as authoritarian and imperialistic as his European counterparts. He just has different goals. Trump didn't back out of the Ukraine war because he cares about Ukrainians or because he's owned by Putin. He simply didn't want to back a loser. Well, also, he didn't want to back a loser. Also about that he had other ideas for where he wanted to divert that money. The best win for Trump was to exploit Ukrainians for their mineral wealth. The biggest difference between Trump and the other imperialists is that he keeps saying the quiet parts out loud. And on the speech issue, Trump is simply shifting from censorship in favor of neoliberals to censorship in favor of conservatives. This means that for many of us, little will change, and that's what we've seen. Those who criticize imperialism or the Gaza genocide will be every bit as censored that we were before, if not more. All right. The key difference is pro-censorship centrists who were protected under Biden will find themselves censored too, and the nutters who support Trump will find their bile amplified. Sure. From my perspective, this is again Ricky at Council of State Media. We're just swapping one form of hatred for another, but the biggest concern is those who make a living from criticizing the empire will now be demonetized. Censorship is the only motivation for Trump's move to allow debanking. And they're siloing us and funneling us into a world where right now it's PayPal, Cash App, and Stripe effectively are the ways to get money into your bank account. What?
You're an Apple guy. Do you have Apple TV?
No, not anymore.
Silo?
I had it originally, but I stopped. I stopped watching it.
It seems a bit like predictive programming. Like, yes, let's stick society in a silo and trap them, see what happens.
So he says, ironically, one of the people who oppose the move is Laura Loomer, Trump fan, who has been banned from. Yeah, but she's been banned from platforms such as PayPal and GoFundMe. So therefore, just like a Republican, only once it happened to them or somebody immediately connected to them will they actually pay attention to the problem and realize it's a problem. She complained, Republicans are now paving the way for more debanking in America. And where's that graphic of the worst person you know just made an excellent point? Chase Miller is usually handy with it. Like if I ask him for it, it's just there immediately in the DM threads.
Mm-hmm.
All right. While some of you may have celebrated when Loomer was debanked, this kind of thing was only ever going to hurt us more. We've seen anti-imperialist outlets like Mint Press News debanked in recent years, Consortium News too off of PayPal. We've seen Stripe demonetize Substackers. We've seen YouTube demonetize creators who challenge establishment narratives. Like this channel that you're probably watching on right now, Indie News Network. Demonetization is not democratic, it's corporate fascism. Can we get that tattooed somewhere on like the CEO of YouTube's head or something? That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Trump recently announced that free speech is back in America and called out the Democrats for trying to jail political opponents, but then he posted this on Truth Social, quote, all federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests, let alone that there are no illegal protests. Agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on the crime, arrested. No masks so that we can facial recognition you. Thank you for your attention to this matter, douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I find it interesting that there were not very many retweets or likes on that, at least when it had been screen capped. It must have been very early on after he posted it, because I'm sure there were a ton of sycophants and bots that ended up swarming and doing that. There are some protections from debanking in the U.S., but of course, Trump wants to remove those puny protections. Once they're gone, you can expect to see anti-imperialists targeted for censorship like pro-Palestinian immigrants and protesting university students. That means us, guys. Expect to see a situation where the likes of PayPal and Stripe are blocking the payments of writers and journalists who offer alternative perspectives, which is exactly how we tell you to support us. Expect to see a more censored internet. And while you may think this will only happen in the U.S., Europeans have been making their own moves to censor the internet. This means writers like Ricky could be screwed either way. We face the very real risk of losing our livelihoods simply because we're telling the truth. The politicians who criticize China for censoring the internet have outsourced their own censorship to corporations. They privatized our right to speak like they privatized everything else. The last thing we need is more corporate control over our lives. And big shout out to Ricky over there. Give him a follow. Yep, so depressing to see what's ahead. Can't agree more, unfortunately. But again, Trump continuing that same level of censorship, if not higher, just in different ways. And it's only affecting different people. So, welcome to the future. Shit where you please. The Wi-Fi's killer, but there's no more bees. All right?
I thought there was no more knees.
No,
They
there's
take
definitely
away your
more
knees.
knees. They don't take away your knees. No, that's Wally. All right.
Oh,
Did this person speak
Yeah,
out
or
when
the
people were
mafia.
debanked for going against the COVID narrative? A lot of people did speak out. A lot of independents certainly spoke out because they saw what was coming. Hemcar, good to see you. Before Zin passed, he said to read the chapters on COINTELPRO and women in the BPP on democracy from Mumia's book, We Want Freedom. Yep. Free Mumia, by the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would be nice if we lived in countries where we didn't have all the governments that gave people so many reasons to protest. That's nice. That's a great point, Jack. That's Jacqueline Jack. Good to see you. Over on the Discord, there. If you scroll up, I think if you're in the YouTube chat, you can find a Discord link. There's now a Discord server we can chat live, and some of the folks are in there now. You can actually put animated GIFs, and it's another cool way to chat, not being on the platform. So I'm going to flip to, before we do that, these amazing people have supported INN, and just like I said, debanking, oh boy. So if that happens, we're then going to have to say, okay, pass in crypto. Great. Which is also what they want. I mean, how else are we supposed to? Or we just say, you know what? We're just going to fund this on our own. And that's what a lot of people are going to either have to make the choice to do or, deal with an alternative form of getting funded and supported by their creators, whether by their fans, whether that is having somebody, sign up for a StreamYard account and take care of the StreamYard or Restream account for the year or whatever that is. There's going to have to be ways around being, debanked for people, especially if there's people that want to watch. There's always, we're always going to try to stay one step ahead. And look, there have been people that are they get paid around sanctions. They get paid around all kinds of different stuff. We're going to have to figure it out. Yep. And yeah, exactly. Think our savior, Mr. Salas, he will save the world with crypto. You bet. Terrible. So we're going to have to figure out some other alternative form. And I think that a lot of people have been looking at that. And the problem right now is that the crypto market, and if you watch my conversation from Saturday with Golden Monarch, there's a lot of capture in the crypto market. There's a lot of billionaire influence in the crypto market, and they've scooped up a lot of the available supply that's out there. Yeah, that's a QR code. It's right above Reef's head too, by the way. I don't know why you're putting it over your face. Are you saying
what?
You're blinking Kofi over your face? Do you know that?
What? No, okay. I don't know that.
Okay,
that's weird. Why would that happen? That's a weird glitch.
Yep.
Strange.
Bad Cookies is saying to buy gold. All right. You can buy some good old Fort Knox gold on eBay. Yeah, I'm not sure I would do that.
Gold. How about do that? Mine your own gold. Go pan for some.
Sure.
So make things, build things, sell that.
Okay. So next story. More joy and happiness. The dangers of authorizing local and state cops to enforce immigration laws. And this is from Arturo Dominguez over at Decolonized Journalism. Good independent journalist. He writes for Unicord Riot. He publishes elsewhere. He's got a Substack too. Photo by Brett Kavanaugh. And I don't think that is the Supreme Court justice, but it might be on Unsplash. And that certainly looks like a cop dressed up like a stormtrooper. And again, he says the DHS is invoking a law known as
stormtroopers dressed up as cops.
The DHS is invoking a law known as 287G, allowing local and state police to enforce immigration law. And I'm sure that our Republican friends will go, "Fuck yeah, America, get them." That's not what we're going to say
calm
here.
Down. Put it, just push it down. It'll be okay. Think about grandmothers,
Are you done?
What?
In 1996, then President Willie Jefferson Clinton signed the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act into law. The legislation made broad changes to immigration law, having an effect similar to that of the 1994 crime bill, thanks Joe Biden, by criminalizing migrants and creating barriers to asylum that have proven harmful to refugees.
American bullshit.
Steaming. The results of the law are credited with creating a private migrant detention industry that's booming today. CoreCivic is one of the large organizations that profits from that privately. The IIRIRA, God, that's a pain in the ass to say.
Yeah, the IIRIRIRA.
The IRIRA
Jesus.
also added section. They also added section 287G to the Immigration and Nationality Act, authorizing immigration and customs enforcement, that's our friends over at ICE, not friends,
Yeah.
to allow local and state law enforcement agencies, or what they call LEOs. He's got all the jargon
law
in there,
enforcement officers.
right? The authority to perform the duties of immigration officers. The section has 3 operational models administered by ICE enforcement and removal operations. That's ERO, jail enforcement, warrant officers, and task forces. According to ICE, jail enforcement is meant to identify and process removable migrants with criminal or pending criminal charges who've been arrested by local and state law enforcement agencies, that's LEAs. The warrant service allows ICE to train, certify, and authorize LEOs, that's the cops, to serve and execute administrative warrants on migrants in their agency's jails. And the task force serves as a force multiplier for law enforcement agencies to enforce immigration law during their routine police duties. Okay.
Stop! You violated the law.
Last week, ICE declared that the agency will begin the aggressive recruiting of law enforcement agencies for the program based on Trump's executive order titled Protecting the American People Against Invasion. This order...
Whatever. We can go after immigrants, but we can't find any of the clients on the Epstein list to arrest. Okay.
Well, we already know who's on the list.
Yes.
The order required ICE to authorize the 287G program, quote unquote. And despite the Trump claims that President Biden ended the program, it was never stopped. While Biden scaled it back, he continued using the program despite his campaign promise to end it. Historically, 287G has been riddled with problems stemming from its abuse by racist sheriffs and police officers. In 2022, the ACLU released a report titled License to Abuse, How ICE's 287G Program Empowers Racist Sheriffs and Civil Rights Violations. They literally wrote a fucking report about this.
I like it.
The report
I
showed...
like it better than anything else.
Well, she does.
No.
Why did it do... That went to the wrong place.
Froze.
That one, no, it went to the speakers. It didn't go to cable. I know what I did wrong.
Serenity now!
Here, let's try that again. Thanks for the reminder.
I like it better than anything else.
Now it will work just fine.
Pretty good.
So the report showed, this ACLU report, racial profiling, poor jail conditions, and civil rights violations were widespread among 142 law enforcement agencies in the program at the time. That's not good. That's not good.
Agencies.
Not officers.
Not just individual officers.
Agents, right.
Agencies.
When they say a cab, they mean a cab.
Like, how many agencies are there in total? You know?
Well, more than 142, I can tell you that.
Clearly.
Because 142 participated in the program.
Yeah!
The ACLU noted that 65% of law enforcement agencies had records exhibiting patterns of racial profiling, and 77% of them were running inhumane detention facilities. Yeah.
Of course they are.
The report also documented that 59% of participating sheriffs had records of making anti-immigrant statements, and that sheriffs often, quote, villainize immigrants as threats to public safety, unquote, by overemphasizing their immigration status in the news media, because it helps get them money.
Don't lie.
It helps get them money.
It really does. It also helps them push for re-election, because we got to take care of late immigrants. Gotta get them out of country. Go back to your country. God, we live in a fucking cartoon.
As terrifying as things are for immigrants in the U.S., whether illegally or not, this news doesn't bode well. And since Latinos are the core groups being targeted, it means even worse racial profiling and harassment, not just from cops, but also from citizens who are already treating many of the Trump administration's actions as a green light to target us in public with both verbal and physical attacks driven by hate. Of course.
Can't understand you. Go back to your country.
According to
Fucking
ICE,
awful.
it's terrible. All right, like we talked about, look, Arturo also
Seven Sword
reported.
Mary over on Rumble says that does apply to Ukrainian immigrants. I would bet not.
Yeah, probably not.
That's what I would bet.
But then again, I think he just announced that that they're deporting a bunch of Ukrainian immigrants that were here.
Okay.
So maybe.
Okay.
But according to ICE again. All right. The agency has signed jail enforcement model agreements, GEMS, with 72 law enforcement agencies in 20 states, warrant service officer agreements with 123 law enforcement agencies in 16 states, and task force model agreements with 107 agencies in 12 states. Just think about how much that could expand to 50 states under Trump. The American Immigration Council has a great 287G explainer here, and he links that there. And, of course, Arturo is an independent journalist, so support independent media, support independent journalism. He also has Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, paid subscriber to his.
Coming to a Substack newsletter near you.
Yep, he's over there on the Flub Flex. And then again, he's a writer also at Unicorn Riot, The Antagonist Magazine, Latino Rebels, and he's on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Mastodon, Threads. I don't know who's on Threads, but okay. And he also does he's been doing some live vertical videos here too over at Substack Notes, which is where I first met him.
Wow.
Good dude. Good dude.
Yeah.
Again, he was also reporting on the Venezuelan migrants being sent to Guantanamo Bay, as well as Andy Worthington in that article that we read last week. So I wanted to give him...
No.
That's a...
no. Mr. Superman, he knows he's here.
Technically, Superman would be an immigrant in this case, right? An illegal alien.
Like, he's literally an alien. So
they're among us, man.
I don't know if I agree with that, Cookies. The whole immigration thing was not an issue when Biden was president. Nah, I'm gonna have to call that out. It was.
It just we covered it. Pause.
No, there was.
Go ahead. How Biden made it much harder to immigrate, and actively deported people more so than. I mean, it's just like Obama was deported. It's just the liberal media just doesn't tell you.
Yeah, but I'm also going to talk about what about the plane flights that the Republican governors sent plane loads of immigrants up to Martha's Vineyard. All right, they sent plane loads of immigrants without coats to Chicago in the middle of winter and let them off in the middle of winter to freeze. They did the same thing to New York, and then there was a lot of money apparently that was being diverted from FEMA toward housing migrants, and there was a lot of money being diverted from other agencies to housing migrants.
Where's the money, Lebowski?
Again, it was a continuation of Trump's immigration policies that Biden had done, but it didn't make the problem go away. They certainly had migrant caravans that were crossing illegally at the border. Biden continued to build Trump's border fence and play into that narrative. They sent Booby Kennedy down to be a fucking border shill himself and do a whole photo op with the Border Patrol in Arizona. I think this has been one of their issues for a while, man, and they're setting it up.
Inconceivable.
I was just watching a movie with Wallace Shawn in it today. He's such a fucking G. How do you not love that guy? All right. But yeah. All right. We're getting to fuck Israel part. All right, let's go. I don't like doing this, and they keep making me do this every week. And I have to read fucking headlines like this. All right, I'm sorry, everyone. Israel wiped out at least 1,200 entire families in Gaza, analysis finds. And this comes from Indie Media Award honoree Sharon Zhang over at Truth Out. Indie, we're going to the best. There are also at least 3,400 families with only one surviving member. So 1,200 families wiped out, 3,400 families with one surviving member. Who knows what kind of condition they're in and how long they're going to last with no one else in their family to take care of them or look out for them. Look at this. This is what they're dealing with. Like, for real. Amir Hassan al-Shafi eats an iftar meal, the breaking of the fast, okay, with family in their destroyed house amid the rubble of buildings in Beit Lahia, okay, in the northern Gaza Strip on March 4th during Ramadan. Just look at that. Awful. Like, just fucking Trump, Biden, Netanyahu, fuck them all. They're just monsters. Okay. The Israeli military completely wiped out at least 1,200 Palestinian families in Gaza in its genocide, a new analysis finds, shedding more light on the staggering and permanent toll of Israel's extermination campaign. And it's even more than that, but that's only the ones that they've counted so far. A Reuters analysis of data, so it definitely was whitewashed heavily because it came from Reuters, and they are huge Israel apologists. Came from the Gaza Health Ministry. I don't even know how there is a Gaza Health Ministry at this point, but I guess there is somehow. But they found at least 1,238 families defined as married couples, and any children they may have were totally erased with no survivors. That's not a war crime or anything, is it, Reef?
No, speaking of, make me big. Make me big.
Go.
Do the embiggening. This was also the Ramadan eating meal in Gaza. So, I mean, you're like just amongst the rubble. Like,
wow.
Anyway, you just went along with that other picture you showed.
Yeah. Okay. Families with between 5 and 9 members make up roughly a third of the families wiped out. In at least one case, Israeli forces massacred every member of a family of 14. Further, almost a quarter of Palestinians in the official death toll of over 48,000 people were 12 years old or younger, while nearly a third were under 18, the report found. Like we said, they are killing children. Children who have been under occupation their entire fucking lives, that never voted for Hamas or anyone for that matter, because they're children. There are roughly 8,000 people in the death tally for whom there is no identifying information like age or gender because they were vaporized.
They literally had to start weighing like amounts of body parts to find an average. That's how things were working then.
Over 2,200.
Like a human child is, 40 pounds or whatever. So you just find that amount of body parts and that's it. Fucking wild. Like over 2,200 in the official death toll were under 2 years old when they were slaughtered by Israeli forces, the analysis found. Slaughtered. Remember that word. Slaughtered. Yep.
Not just Israeli forces, American bombs. It's possible that even more families were wiped out in the genocide, as experts have repeatedly stressed that the true death toll is far higher than the official count. The analysis roughly lines up with that of Gaza health officials who reported late last year that Israel had caused over 1,400 families to be wiped from the civil registry. Further, officials found that there were at least 3,400 families who had lost all but one member to Israeli attacks. So this tracks, except that it shows no acceleration of any of that since then. And there's been very little ceasefire, even when they have a ceasefire in place. Yeah, I don't buy it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the experience of 13-year-old Mohammed Al-Agha. Reuters documented Agha lost both his parents, his brother, and two sisters aged 11, 10, and 8 during the genocide. Palestinian father Abdel Salam al-Banah, the publication documented, is the only surviving member of his family unit. His 9-year-old daughter, his 5-year-old son, and his wife were killed in an Israeli airstrike on their apartment building on December 15th, 2023. Imagine having to fucking go on knowing that these fuckers murdered everyone in your family. What would you want to do?
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
He spent a week surviving under the rubble of the building himself, he said. He and two of his in-laws found their way out from dark ruins after feeling an air pocket, but the bodies of his wife and children are still buried under there, with Israel blocking heavy equipment, of course, from entering Gaza. He said, nothing's more painful than this. I can't put them to rest. But they're only going to... I don't even want to... Because he and other members of his family escaped from the rubble, Bana was able to report the deaths of his wife and children to health officials and therefore have their deaths tallied in the toll. But officials estimate that there are at least 14,000 people whose bodies are still stuck under the rubble and are excluded from the death toll. Last month, the Gaza Government Information Office said that officials believe that those deaths included that the true death toll from Israeli attacks is at least 61,709 people, which we also believe is still severely undercounting. Support Truth Out. That's Sharon. Again, Sharon's an indie media award honoree, and we only go to people that we actually like really trust what they say on this one. I trust Andre Damon over at World Socialist website enough on this one. Because, again, kind of like we were talking about uppers. We were talking about with Oz earlier before the show Dragnet. You're getting inside look at Reef's house right now.
Yes.
Just the facts, ma'am. Israel is blocking entry of food into Gaza and plans to cut the power and water. And this was, again, 6 days ago, March 3rd. There is a line of trucks.
You've been smoking marijuana?
Me? No. Maybe.
You talking about Dragnet? What?
Trucks line up at the Egyptian side of the Rafah border crossing between Egypt and the Gaza Strip, and after Israel blocked the entry of aid trucks into Gaza on Sunday, March 2nd. That was the last time we were live.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've been reporting on a lot of this stuff for a while. The office of Netanyahu announced Sunday that Israel has blocked all food shipments into Gaza, aiming to starve the population into submission and ethnically cleanse the enclave. That's not a war crime, is it, Reef?
Netanyahu?
Is that a war crime? Refresh my memory.
Fuck you.
Right. So that's a yes.
Yeah.
And Anna Mayer says we should all watch Jones Plantation together. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen that.
Sure. Right. You hurt my family, I'll kill you with my bare hands. So that's in a movie. Yes. So again, we've decided to block all entries of goods. This is from Netanyahu himself. I'm not like, this isn't Hamas saying this. This isn't anybody else. This is directly out of the douchebag's mouth himself. before a cabinet meeting. No trucks entered Gaza this morning, nor will they at this stage, because Trump and Miriam Adelson gave them permission, as if Miriam Adelson can give Trump permission and Trump can give Netanyahu permission to do whatever the fuck they're doing.
And the best part of this plan is no one can stop me.
The White House endorsed Israel's policy of mass starvation because, of course, they did. Israel has negotiated in good faith since the beginning of the Trump administration to ensure the release of, how are they saying this with a straight face, of hostages held captive by Hamas terrorists.
What did he say?
We will support their decision on next steps, given Hamas has indicated it is no longer interested in a negotiated ceasefire. So you mean exactly what we called 6 weeks ago when they announced this quote-unquote ceasefire, that Trump will try to negotiate directly, which he tried to this week, declare that a failure and say, well, Bibi, we tried, good faith, you got to take care of it, go finish the job, take care of the problem. Yeah.
I am altering the deal. Pray
it was the most obvious shit ever that it was going to go down that way, and it's just awful that people didn't see it. Or, I mean, look, what were we going to do about it other than not vote for either one of the fucking warmongering imperialists that were going to continue this shit, which is what all of us did. They keep expanding into Syria. They've stolen half of Syria. They keep expanding into Lebanon. I wouldn't say bye-bye. I mean, I don't know who's gonna stop them, because nobody's stopped them yet. The announcement, of course, came after the lapse of phase 1 of the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. Netanyahu government has reneged on its commitment to begin phase 2 and has insisted on demanding the release of more hostages before continuing phase 1. In reality, of course, Israel's refusal to uphold the ceasefire agreement is a calculated provocation aimed at creating the conditions for mass starvation of the people in Gaza in order to forcibly displace them and seize their land. Amen, Andre Damon. He got that right.
I don't care.
Last month, Trump declared that the United States supported the ethnic cleansing of Gaza, a policy previously proposed by sections of the Israeli government. In announcing...
Mom, I'm sorry.
No, he's not. They're going to name it after him. He's not sorry.
No.
In announcing...
You can do it, baby.
In announcing the blockade, Netanyahu's office warned, quote, if Hamas continues its refusal, there will be further consequences. The Israeli newspaper Israel Hayom, that's today, reported that the government is preparing to enforce a total blockade of food and water into Gaza. And of course, if they blockade electricity, that also stops any electrical and water processing plants, salination, desalination, and they get no potable water. Israel's Channel 14 reported that the energy minister Eli Cohen is planning to propose shutting off Gaza's electricity supply at the next Israeli cabinet meeting. Israel's blockade of food...
AKA siege warfare, which is... survey says...
Ding, 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 ding. Israel's blockade of food aid to Gaza is a war crime and a crime against humanity. Just add another charge to the pile at the ICJ that they won't do anything about. Oxfam condemned the move in a statement, a strongly worded letter, calling it a reckless act of collective punishment explicitly prohibited under international humanitarian law, of which we will do absolutely nothing.
How dare you? How dare you?
Sure. UN Undersecretary General for Humanitarian Affairs Tom Fletcher condemned the move in a post on Twitter, declaring, quote, Israel's decision to halt aid into Gaza is alarming. International humanitarian law is clear. We must be allowed to deliver vital life-saving aid. Or else what? Or else what?
Right.
In a statement, Doctors Without Borders spokesperson Caroline Seguin said, quote, Israel is once again blocking an entire population from receiving aid, using it as a bargaining chip. This is unacceptable, outrageous, and will have devastating consequences. Which is exactly what they intend. No, the devastating consequences are that the Palestinians will be murdered.
Yeah.
That's the devastating
Right.
consequences, not that there will
Zero
be
consequences for Israel doing it.
Right. Kenneth Roth, former head of Human Rights Watch, said that Israel has an absolute duty under the Geneva Conventions to allow food to at least enter Gaza. No, they have a responsibility as an occupying force to provide nourishment and water.
Yeah.
Avocados from Mexico.
That would be nice. They'd probably send them.
Yeah, but we're going to tariff them first. Don't worry about it.
Quote, Israel's latest threat to cut off all aid is a resumption of the war crimes starvation strategy that led to war crimes charges against Netanyahu at the ICC to begin with. Of course. The entire population of Gaza is suffering from food insecurity, at minimum, due to Israel's deliberate blockade of aid. In December, the UN estimated that over 19,000 children had been hospitalized for acute malnutrition in just 4 months. We saw the videos of literal children that were just skin and bones that literally died of starvation. They were starved to death by Israel. Last month, health officials in Gaza reported that 6 babies froze to death in a 2-week period due to widespread lack of fuel to counter freezing temperatures. Again, they were on the aid trucks. Israel stopped the aid trucks. There were tents. There were blankets. There was fuel. There were ways to keep people warm there. There were jackets. There was clothing, diapers, medical supplies. Meanwhile, back in the Hall of Injustice, the United States is Go ahead. Is escalating its.
Meanwhile,
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
That's pretty accurate because the United States is escalating its military support for Israel. Thanks so much. On Friday, the U.S. State Department announced that Secretary of State Little Marco Rubio had invoked emergency authorities, quote unquote, to send an additional $4 billion in weapons to Israel. Sure. Nobody's mad about that. State Department said the U.S. would, quote, continue to use all available tools to fulfill America's long-standing commitment to Israel's security and Norman Bremen's orders. Thanks, Marco. Including means to counter security threats. We all know who Marco answers to. It's the reason why he has that job. The package includes a variety of potential weapons, with reports indicating that over 35,000 2,000-pound bombs could be sent. Because you need that.
Phrasing?
35,000 2,000-pound bombs. What the fuck? Why are they dropping 35,000 bombs on a tiny little strip of land that over 1 million people allegedly still live at? And we're sending it there for them to do it. Nothing to see here. Okay? Those are also, by the way, war crimes. Each of these bombs is capable of leveling an entire city block. So I guess this is for the West Bank. The Biden administration sent Israel at least 14,000 of these bombs, which Israel used alongside other U.S.-provided weapons to destroy most of the structures in Gaza. Like I said, next is going to be for the West Bank. Responding to the announcement, Netanyahu praised Trump. Of course he did, because monsters praise monsters, saying, quote, Donald Trump is the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. Jesus. George W. Bush is really mad about that statement because he certainly licked Netanyahu's boots really hard. And so did Joe Biden. He's shown it by sending us all the munitions that were being held up. This way, he's giving Israel the tools we need to finish the job against Iran's terror access. So he's already setting up for the Iran war that's coming. And yes, he's leading us into war with Iran, if you didn't already. All right. Israel has a right to defend itself. No, they don't. According to Gaza's health ministry, again, 46,565 Palestinians have been killed and over 109,000 injured since the start of the Gaza genocide on October 8th, 2023. I don't believe that Israel actually responded the evening of the 7th. I could be wrong, but I don't think they did. Gaza's government media office puts the death toll at over 61,000, including the thousands of Palestinians missing and believed to be buried under rubble. Real death toll, including those who've starved to death and succumbed to diseases, of course, far higher. And that's World Socialist website reporting on Israel's war crimes this week. But we got more, folks.
Up in the sky! Look! It's a plane! It's a plane! It's Superman!
Independent journalist Sanaa Saeed, I like her a lot. She was with Al Jazeera for a while. Earlier today, Israeli forces, and this was March 7th. So this was literally Friday night. She posted this. Earlier today, Israeli forces raided and set fire to a mosque in Nablus. Again, they raided and set fire to a mosque in Nablus, the occupied West Bank. How many headlines did you see about this? Attacks on Muslim? None. Attacks on Muslim places of worship in particular have been a mainstay of Israeli violence well before October 2023. The reason we keep hearing nonstop about anti-Semitism is not just to justify the extermination of Arabs and Muslims, but also so we don't start dissecting the actual racism, which is a structure, not a slur or a feeling, at the heart of the U.S.-backed Israeli occupation of Palestinians. And here are some of the photos of the burned down mosque.
Jesus, what is that, Chernobyl? Holy shit.
No, they raided it, and then they literally set fire to the place inside.
I know. Tell me that doesn't look exactly like abandoned shit in Chernobyl. That's fucking awful.
Yeah.
That was a mosque. Look, there's stained glass back there. I'm sure that was gorgeous.
Yep.
You know? Like, they take care of their shit. Ugh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, how many headlines?
Fucking assholes.
Tagging all the Indonesian outlets. So they also burned and destroyed a mosque. And then finally, more in the war crimes.
Mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
The fourth Israeli war crime I'm reporting on this week was another article from Sharon Zhang over at Truthout. She seems to be really good at reporting on these. The headline, I couldn't even believe. I'm like, I have to bring this. I don't want to, but I have to, because people aren't talking about this nearly enough. Israel detains 14-year-old Palestinian boy from West Bank without charges. And we've talked about the number of children being detained without charges, and already that Israel has detained a record number. But these are children. These are children, folks. Children. The Children's Rights Group. Children. Sorry, children.
The children are future.
Where's that sorry, children? Because literally we need to be apologizing to them.
Children.
Thank you. The Children's Rights Group has said that this is the youngest person Israel has held without charges on record. So they're breaking new records and breaking new ground, as always. Good job, Israel.
And those are amazing looking brand new American rifles and brand new, extremely expensive binoc phosphorus night vision goggles.
And what about the tank behind it?
That too. That's also pretty expensive. But that's probably Israeli made. That's Merkava, I'm betting.
Yep.
Maybe that doesn't look like a tank. It looks like ATV, but APC, whatever.
They're Aton. It's an Aton. They guard Aton armored vehicles during a military occupation in Nablus. They need to guard their machines.
APC.
While they're destroying the houses, okay? The Israeli army.
Little red triangles show up above them.
Remember, we're under ceasefire here on March 4th. The Israeli army killed 2 Palestinians in the eastern neighborhood of Jenin using armored vehicles and drones in the operation. They also burned 2 houses and destroyed another during the military operation. Okay.
Yeah.
Ceasefire. Quote. Now, this is Sharon Jang again, Indie Media Award honoree over at Truth Out, also Indie Media Award honoree. Although Truth Out has been really shit-libby. Truth Out and Common Dreams have been super disappointing. I mean, just nonstop TDS. Calling that out, man, it's terrible. Like, be more objective, okay? A lot of you were not nearly as hard on the Biden administration about this stuff, and I'll be the first to say that, you know. And I put these outlets as Indie Media Award honorees because I do think they still put out a lot of good stuff, but man, it's getting hard to defend the amount of simping that they still do for Democrats. They're still just hoping that the Democrats will finally turn it around and represent us. But we know that's never going to happen. Not until we get the money out. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen. So again, Israeli forces abducted a 14-year-old boy from the occupied West Bank last month and are imprisoning him without charges, making him the youngest Palestinian child on record to be placed under Israeli administrative detention order, a rights group says. DCIP, and they literally have to have an organization called the Defense for Children International of Palestine, just for the Palestinian children, because there are so many, reports that Israeli forces seized Muin Ghassan Fahid Salhat from his home in the West Bank town of Beit Fajar in the middle of the night on February 19th. The 9th grade boy has been issued a 4-month order for administrative detention, a practice in which Israeli forces hold Palestinians without charges or trial based on secret evidence not provided to the detainee or their lawyer, if they even have one.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Israeli soldiers forcibly entered the boy's home at 3:40 in the morning and detained his father, blindfolding him, tying his hands behind his back. Soldiers similarly detained Muin when the young boy awoke and went to look for his father. The soldiers ransacked their belongings, the report says, and confiscated their phones and computer because they're thieves and scumbags. Soldiers then took the boy away and ordered his father not to move for 10 minutes, according to DCIP. That's what terrorists and hostages do. Don't move for 10 minutes or we'll murder your kid. The family was not given a warrant for the raid. No, they just walked in and took him at 3:40 in the fucking morning while everyone was sleeping. Quote, administrative detention violates fundamental due process rights, yet Israeli forces are now expanding this draconian policy to detain Palestinian children indefinitely without charge or trial, said Aid Abu Ekitash, Accountability Program Director for DCIP. Muin's case sets a dangerous precedent showing that no Palestinian child, regardless of age, is safe from arbitrary imprisonment under Israel's military rule. And Netanyahu just got a boner. Sorry, everyone.
Sorry, children.
Muin is one of 112 Palestinian children held in administrative detention by Israel, according to the information provided by the Israeli Prison Service. This is not fake news. This is not Palestinian propaganda. This is not Pallywood. This is the Israeli Prison Service. They're proud of imprisoning 112 children.
This is the same prison service where people protested for their rights to rape
male prisoners. That's right. Their rights to rape male prisoners with metal rods.
I wish I was kidding.
Yes.
At this point, Israel's continued existence is a mockery of morality.
Your continued existence is a mockery of morality.
This is the highest number of children held in administrative detention on record since DCIP began monitoring the practice in 2008, the group has reported. 17 years. So tell me that they haven't escalated at all. Okay, and again, they're still using October 7th and the hostages, of which we know Hannibal Directive. We know that the families of the hostages are ready to sue the Israeli government because they've tried not to get them back, and they've used this as justification for all of this crap and bombing every day people that aren't firing back at them. Like, have we heard of any rockets being sent from Gaza or anywhere toward Israel in weeks? In when? But yet the bombs continue to fall. And now they've violated the ceasefire again, but not from Gaza. It's coming from Israel again. I think I read somewhere 192 violations or something like that, or 92 violations of the ceasefire already documented. They don't give a shit. Nothing's going to happen to them. The figure has rapidly increased as Israel's genocide in Gaza has continued. As of April of last year, for instance, Israel was holding 61 Palestinian in administrative detention, DCIP recorded, which then was also a record high at the time. Now it's double that. The group says that Israel's continued use of administrative detention against Palestinians is, of course, a violation of human rights. Yay. It's a strongly worded letter.
Is that amnesty?
No,
amnesty,
it's DCIP. All right.
Okay.
Israel's routine use
sounds like an amnesty statement.
Nope.
You know?
Israel's routine use of administrative detention against Palestinians, including children, constitutes arbitrary detention and violates international human rights law, of which they're apparently not subject to, but okay. Additionally, the Fourth Geneva Convention strictly prohibits an occupying power from forcibly transferring or unlawfully imprisoning protected persons, making once again Israel's practice a clear breach of its legal obligations, the group said. War crimes is the easier way to say that. Israel's practices regarding Palestinian prisoners have only gotten more strict amid Israel's genocide in Gaza, with Israel making it even harder for detainees to access legal representation. Many children in administrative detention go weeks without being granted access to a lawyer, DCIP said. Completely part of the plan. What are you going to do about it? The group added that Israel is unique in its harsh prosecution of Palestinian children. No surprise there. Quote, Israel has the dubious distinction of being the only country in the world that systematically prosecutes between 500 and 700 children in military courts each year, while systematically stripping away the fundamental right to a fair trial right. That's what they do. And again, they're, like I said, Truth Out is shit libby for sure, and we're resisting Trump's authoritarian pressure. By writing about it, I guess that's what they do. By screaming with their hair on fire and fear-mongering and hoping the Democrats are going to be the solution ain't the answer. And, of course, they're on Blue Sky, too, or Blue Cry. So, So, fuck Israel. Like I said, this was the conclusion of the fuck Israel portion of the program. Anna Mayers, thank you so much. Bugs Life reference, $20 for that on Cash App. Thank you so much. Love you. If you are able
Bugs
to,
Life? Bugs Life.
Bugs Life. Yes.
Okay.
I thought it was ants, but maybe it was Bugs
Smooth
Life.
Jazz.
I do.
I think it is ants.
It is ants. But that's our Wall of Fame. And Anna Mayers was already up there, but she just got there again. Sean Miller's up there. He's up there every week. Everybody else on that board. What a crowd for sure has come into and supported INN and funded the media they want to see. Ways to do that: Cash App, Ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, PayPal.me/Indie News Network. At some point, we'll have to figure out another solution because it seems like they're going to come after all those at some point. But in the meantime, that's the best way to do so. We also have the INNnewsletter.com for a monthly or an annual subscription. All right. Good to see everybody here. Rad Angel, Desert Mantis, they're good seeing each other.
With imperialism, the bureaucrats, the big landlord class, and the reactionary section of the intelligentsia attached to them.
Seven Sword Mary, Israel actually has prosecuted toddler-age children. True story. That's true. Seven Sword also thought it was ants. Nice. R.I.P. PayPal. Look, PayPal Mafia is where all of this started. All right?
The PayPalpatine Mafia.
All right? The PayPalpatine Mafia. Shout out to Whitney Webb for that. But I am the Senate. Omidyar, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, David Sachs, all came out of PayPal Mafia. Talking Wombat, welcome back to the Patreon for $1 a month. Thank you so much over at INN Patreon. Good shit. All right. So what the hell happened at University of Columbia or Columbia University in New York City? It's really kind of scary the way this was all coordinated and has gone down. So we'll start with Dave DeCamp to give us kind of a primer here. This was Thursday night. State Department to use AI to revoke visas of students who appear pro-Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Again, little Marco Rubio, he's making a lot of news these days, is launching an AI-driven effort to revoke the visas of foreigners in the U.S. who appear pro-Hamas in a crackdown targeting pro-Palestine protests on college campuses, Axios reported on Thursday. That has to be a violation of civil rights.
You think?
The report said that the
privacy and a couple of bills of rights.
Maybe.
A couple of amendments.
So the report said that the effort will involve AI-assisted reviews of social media accounts of tens of thousands of foreign students in the U.S. on visas that will look for, quote, evidence of alleged terrorist sympathies expressed for Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack on Israel. Oh, boy. The language in the report suggests that any foreign students who attend pro-Palestine demonstrations or express sympathy for Palestinians online could be swept up in the crackdown, since opponents of the Israeli siege on Gaza or the U.S. military support for Israel are often labeled pro-Hamas. Civil liberty groups have strongly criticized President Trump's promises to deport foreign students who attend pro-Palestine protests, since the speech of foreigners inside the U.S. is supposed to be protected under the First Amendment. Except that Julian Assange wasn't going to be offered that either. They literally argued in court that he was not going to be offered First Amendment protection.
Yeah.
If we open the door to expelling foreign students who peacefully express ideas out of step with the current administration about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we should expect it to swing wider to encompass other viewpoints too, said Sarah McLaughlin, and not in the arms of the angel Sarah McLaughlin. But this one is a senior scholar at the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE, in an op-ed for MSNBC in January. Quote, today, it may be alleged Hamas sympathizers are facing threats of deportation for their political expression. Who could it be in 4 years? In 8? Abed Al-Ayub, who is the head of the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee, a lot of committees and groups that we're referring to tonight, told Axios, which is corporate media, that Americans won't like the State Department's effort because they'll view it as capitulating free speech rights for a foreign nation, because we are owned by that foreign nation. The new State Department project is part of a broader administration effort against protests that are critical of Israel, which includes threats from President Trump that universities that allow what he called illegal protests would lose federal funding. And you saw that earlier. We showed that post Truth Social. Of course, no protests are illegal. It is not illegal to protest in this country. It's illegal to commit certain acts during protests, but the protest itself is not illegal. The Department of Justice also launched a new task force investigating alleged incidents of quote-unquote anti-Semitism on college campuses. Again, not against Muslim or Palestinian students, but against Jewish students that are from the United States that are not Semitic at all. But, okay. So this is the scene from overhead at Barnard College. Shout out to Mariam, free Kashmir, at Blue Pashminas on Twitter. I just started following her. She says, my phone is full of water and I can't even go through the footage and photos yet because it won't charge. But this was the most horrifying thing I've witnessed on campus since the mass arrest during Hens Hall. And again, this is cops.
Right.
These are peaceful protesters at Barnard being pulled away. They were not violent. What happened?
Some footage at Hens Hall. I have that for you if you need it.
I wasn't going to show it because that's not relevant to this story. But Mariam, who apparently writes for Left Voice, is going to tell us exactly what happened here. All right. Barnard escalated its crackdown on student activism by calling in the NYPD to arrest 9 protesters, the first campus arrest since last year's Palestine Solidarity encampments. As President Trump ramps up attacks on students and workers, we must unite and fight back. Agreed. How we do that, I don't know if we agree on, but she writes that on March 5th, Barnard College and its president, Laura Rosenberry, escalated their war against the right to protest by bringing in the New York Police Department to arrest 9 students participating in a sit-in against campus repression. This is the first time that students have been arrested on campus since last year's Palestine Solidarity encampments, and it's a clear attempt to terrify students into submission in the context of a growing wave of repression cheerled by the Trump administration. Rosenberry's justification for calling in the cops, a quote-unquote bomb threat, rings hollow. Students were met with NYPD officers storming the building without warning. This wasn't about safety. It was about fear. It was about intimidation. It was about silencing student demands for an end to the university's complicity in genocide. In the wake of these arrests, Barnard has ramped up security measures, restricting campus access, implementing ID checks and random bag searches, and even enforcing unmasking requirements. Remember, Trump said no masks. So they can't wear keffiyehs to cover their faces to protect their identities anymore.
Yes, but how do you define a mask? You know?
Well, that's also...
Many things could be considered.
Yeah, but they're also talking about a surgical mask, potentially.
Yes.
Somebody who's got COVID or is got a KN95 mask. Yeah.
Very safe and effective. Yes.
The crackdown at Barnard follows the recent expulsion of 3 students, first since 1968. We're going to get to that in a second. Meanwhile, back at the Hall of the Legion of Doom, the Trump administration and the far right have been preparing to silence dissent at universities even further because they fear that students and workers will rise up as they have in the past, both last year to denounce the oppression of Palestinians and during previous student uprisings like against the war in Vietnam and for the civil rights movement. Concretely, Trump has already passed an executive order promising to deport immigrant students and workers at universities and schools. He's already introduced cuts, which will likely lead to a slew of layoffs and program reductions. And he's sending the Department of Justice to several universities next week, including Columbia, of course, to send a message that administrators must comply with his authoritarian offensive. Wait, Trump's an authoritarian? I thought he was all about the love and the free speech and no war, right? Luckily for Trump, administrators across universities have been completely complicit in the escalating attacks because they're ultimately beholden to the interests of the regime. Barnard has become the ground zero for attacks against the movement, as the university suspended at least 53 students during the encampment movement last year and also imposed these disciplinary measures without due process, stripping students of their institutional right to contest their expulsions and suspensions. They just get the fuck out. This opens the door to more arbitrary decisions that are meant to make it easier for administrators to discipline students and workers. Local politicians, from Democratic Mayor corrupt Eric Adams, who serves Turkey, Israel, and a lot of other people, who heads the NYPD, to Kathy Hochul, and that's the governor, who showed her heavy hand in blocking the appointment of a professor for a course on Palestine, are also playing a key role in aiding and abetting Trump's line, because there's a uniparty. In the face of neo-McCarthyism that harkens back to the Red Scare and threatens our basic democratic rights as students, workers, and activists, we must stand up and protect our right to protest against genocide. As yesterday's protest, organized by the student workers of Columbia, and the recent statement written by SWC alongside a number of student and worker organizations explain, we also need to stop the expulsions, deportations, and cuts that are being encouraged by Trump. How? On March 6th, there will be an emergency protest at 1 p.m. on the Low Steps. The entire Columbia and Barnard campus community, from students to workers, staff to protesters, should come out and denounce campus repression in the spirit of the large protests on campus last year. We must organize ourselves democratically and without any illusions in the university administrators who have no problem calling in the NYPD. Instead, we must demand that cops from the NYPD to ICE are not allowed on campuses. And who's going to stop that? We must call for expelled students to be reinstated immediately and for all charges and sanctions to be dropped against affected activists. I guess you could try to use the courts to stop them, but who's going to stop them if they violate the court's law, the court's ruling? The FBI? They're not going to do it. The Justice Department? They're not going to do it.
The Justice League Department won't do it either.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom is where we feel like we're living all the time these days.
Yep.
Man.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
Oh, that's what I wanted to do, was cover the Barnard College students expelled. So that's the Prism article that I brought. These are the first official expulsions for protests on Columbia's campus since 1936. Some of this is a little redundant, but I did want to get into what happened to the 3 students. On February 21st, an undergraduate college affiliated with Columbia University expelled 2 pro-Palestinian protesters for allegedly disrupting a Columbia class called History of Modern Israel. A 3rd student was also expelled a week later for allegedly protesting the university's investments in genocide and participating in the occupation of Hind's Hall last spring. While both Barnard and Columbia have suspended multiple students and taken disciplinary actions against those protesting the genocide in Palestine, these are the first official expulsions for protesting on Columbia's campus since 1936, according to Columbia's Apartheid Divest, when student Robert Burke was expelled for criticizing the university's ties to Nazi Germany. No similarities there. Nah.
Funny.
The first 2 expelled students were initially...
Nazis. I hate these guys.
The irony. The first 2 expelled students were initially issued interim suspensions by the Barnard Office for Student Intervention and Success, a new disciplinary body established last fall, how convenient, for allegedly disrupting the class. This entailed the students being banned from all campus facilities, including dorms, libraries, health services, and dining halls. They were then put through a rushed investigative process, resulting in their expulsions, according to CUAD. Celotape, Celotapi, who is a graduate student at Columbia and a member of the CUAD, of the Collective Defense Working Group, which is part of the CUAD, said the investigation, quote, used a lot of the evidence that's sort of negligible as our understanding that those processes were conducted with the idea of guilt from the beginning and that the burden of proof was unfairly placed on the students allegedly involved. Yes, they reasoned to a conclusion. Absolutely. And then put the burden of proof on the students to disprove. Barnard didn't respond to a request for comment by the time of publication. One of the expelled students, who declined an interview with Prism due to privacy concerns, because everybody's afraid, said in a press release on February 22nd, Quote, I was told countless times the value of voicing my opinions and standing up for what I know to be true and good at Barnard. The fact that my removal has taken place so baselessly simply because I believe that a Holocaust of the Palestinian people is unequivocally happening, wrong, and has completely shattered the illusion of what I thought Barnard stood for. In response to the expulsions on February 26th, the Collective Defense Working Group led a sit-in at Barnard's dean's office with nearly 100 students, like we said. And that's where they called in the cops and arrested 9. Quote, we wanted to stage a non-violent way of expressing that we had mass support against these expulsions. It was set up alongside a letter-writing campaign as well as a phones app. They were designed to sort of show, here are the members of the Barnard community. They're out in force to say, this is not something that we want to be something that can happen to a member of our community at any time. After the multi-hour standoff, Barnard President Laura Rosenberry and Barnard Vice President and Dean Leslie Greenidge agreed to negotiate with students regarding the expulsions based on certain conditions. But of course, we know that they're lying scumbags, so 2 faculty intermediaries emailed the student negotiators shortly before the agreed meeting time, saying the student negotiators would now need to be unmasked during the meeting and they couldn't audio record the meeting, going back on terms that had been previously agreed upon. Why wouldn't you want the meeting recorded? Maybe you're about to say something that you don't want to be held accountable to? Or maybe you're about to say something that insults the fuck out of the people that are there? The university had agreed that those students were to be registered and enrolled students at Barnard and that they were to be masked in the negotiations. But of course, nothing means anything anymore. So they decided to change the deal like they're Darth fucking Vader. We made that stipulation not only because masking of the students is obviously necessary for their safety in terms of being identifiable and therefore reprisable by the university, because they've doxed the shit out of these people. They've used facial recognition to destroy their lives, try to get people fired, deported, and worse for protesting a fucking genocide. These reprehensible fucking people, which has been demonstrated to be unfair in their ability to reprise and willingness to reprise. But also it was for the safety of the immunocompromised. So obviously Columbia and Barnard presidents want their pro-Palestinian students to literally die from disease. They'd rather them die than show up wearing a mask. Let's just repeat that. The University of Barnard College's president wants students to die for not wearing a mask. I'll say it. I don't give a fuck. Take me off the phone. Take me off the air. The university reneged on those responsibilities in the terms that they'd set and prevented negotiations from the beginning. On March 5th, Columbia students resumed the sit-in at Milstein Center Library, reclaimed as the Dr. Hussam Abu Safia Liberated Zone. Except that he's not liberated, but it's nice that they named that after him. In a statement posted online, they said they were left with no choice but to resume the sit-in because Barnard has shown that they'll sabotage negotiations unless we hold them accountable, and then they'll just send the pigs in. A third expulsion came the same day. We reported on that the U.S. Department of Justice issued a press release announcing that the Federal Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism bullshit would be visiting 10 university campuses that have allegedly experienced anti-Semitic incidents since October 2023, including Columbia University. How about interviewing the Jewish students that were part of the encampments? No, they don't count. No. They can't interview those. They feel safe, so they don't count. According to the press release by CUAD, Columbia was privately informed of the task force's impending visit a day before the Barnard expelled student, a day before they expelled a third student. So rather than engage with students or divest, Barnard has just rushed to satisfy the DOJ by sanctioning and expelling students, bending the knee. They're all in cahoots, and they're all being ordered by Israel. And we have the proof. We have the receipts. We know the WhatsApp threads. The letter writing campaign is still ongoing, That's useless. The phone zap campaign is still ongoing. That's not going to work. We're still participating very actively in the general structure that the university set up for appealing these expulsions. Great, that's not going to go anywhere. We always work through every avenue possible in order to support our comrades, so we're going to continue to do that. Well, that's nice, but fuck these motherfuckers. Fuck Barnard University, fuck Columbia University, fuck Mayor Eric Adams, fuck Israel, fuck Donald Trump, fuck Marco Rubio, fuck the Justice Department, fuck them all. And fuck my computer for crashing. Damn it. All right. So, that was the last story that I had in the another fuck Israel portion, because we know that, of course, Israel steers everything in this country. Like it, don't like it. That's the fact, Jack. You can call me whatever the fuck you want to call me for it, but that's what's going on. They're controlling everything these days. Like it, don't like it. Call me whatever the fuck you want. All right. We're definitely not getting monetized for the amount of fucks that I just said there. So we definitely need some support if you are inclined and you like what you just saw there, because we're going to cover Barnard from an angle that nobody else really is going to on a show, except a couple of people. We could use it over at Cash App, co-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network. And apparently now I'm going to have to take my computer in for another diagnostic because Micro Center sucks and couldn't figure it out last time. So, I got a few more things I wanted to go through. Syria. What the fuck is going on in Syria? I'm not covering that tonight, but I did want to point out that there's a reminder. The USA and Britain said Assad had to go, then funded and armed this terrorist group, HTS, to do their dirty work and cause the country to descend into lawlessness, just like Libya. This is on the USA, this is on the UK, this is on Israel, which they're proud of, apparently. I cannot show a lot of the videos. They are like literal murders on camera. And the Syrian HTS terrorists are proudly showing that, and they are massacring Alawite Syrians. And I don't understand the dynamic there, but the corporate media is claiming that it's pro-Assad. There are no more pro-Assad people left. There's a new regime now, so it's either you're part of them or you're not. And they're killing anyone that's not part of them. It's terrible. So that's what's happening in Syria. We may cover that next week. Follow Eva Bartlett. Follow Vanessa Beeley. Follow Fiorella Isabel. Follow Dave DeCamp at antiwar.com. Follow Anti-War News. Follow Marwa Osman. And you will find out what's happening. And you'll see some horrifying footage, I will warn you, especially on their Telegram channels. But it's important. And we can't ignore what we did and what we are actively doing right now and still allowing to happen. Now, I brought an article from Indie Media Award honoree Left Voice earlier. Here's another one that I want people to read. And we've brought articles from James Dennis Hoff about UAW before and about unions. He's very pie in the sky, but he calls this one out rightly. Why is Sean Fain and the UAW leadership supporting Trump's trade policies for tariffs? You think that protectionism for the automakers is going to help you, UAW? Fuck no. That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. But then again, Sean Fain, a dumb motherfucker. That is a dumb face right there. I am done playing nice with this asshole. He's ignored me. I've been calling his ass out since before that bullshit stand-up strike that everybody thought he was so great for. Fuck this guy too. And fuck Sean O'Brien over at the Teamsters. Yes, NAFTA was a disaster, and tariffs don't work like that. Stupid. All they're going to do is raise the price on American workers and American car buyers and force Chinese cars out of this market because there's 100% tariff on them, maybe. But that's not going to allow people to buy more American cars because the price is still too fucking expensive. Dumbass. Yeah, let's not allow cheap cars that could possibly have the automakers competing, but give them a protectionism that gives them a $10,000 a vehicle jack on all of us. Fuck off, Sean Fain. Next. Consortium News, our friends and Indie Media Award honorees. Got this article from Joe Loria over here, and this is a very quick one. We covered about a year and a half ago, they sued NewsGuard, which is like a nanny NGO that's set up to censor and identify organizations and score organizations based upon their quote-unquote accuracy or whatever. And what we reported was that there were 4 articles, I believe, or maybe even as many as 10, going back 30 years that NewsGuard flagged on Consortium News as questionable, mostly having to deal with Russia and Ukraine. But that caused the entire Consortium News website to be red flagged and blocked and smeared across all of corporate media and not to be used because they're shown as a risky outlet, according to NewsGuard. There's nothing risky about Consortium News. They are an Indie Media Award-winning outlet. They are an award-winning outlet, not just us, but elsewhere too. Okay? So a judge orders the defendants, NewsGuard, in the CN and NewsGuard case to respond to Trump executive order on censorship. An executive order signed by President Trump on Inauguration Day has figured in Consortium News' lawsuit against the U.S. federal government and NewsGuard Technologies, Inc., that alleges defamation and a violation of the First Amendment. Judge Catherine Polk-Failla of the Southern District of New York has ordered the government and the defendant to respond in writing by Thursday, addressing the impact of the January 20th, 2025 executive order titled Restoring Freedom of Speech and Ending Federal Censorship on the pending motion to dismiss the second amended complaint. Both the government and NewsGuard have moved to have the case against them dismissed. How convenient. Consortium News filed suit against both in August of 2023 with an amended complaint in October, charging the Pentagon Cyber Command, an element of the intelligence community, with contracting with NewsGuard to identify, report, and abridge the speech of American media organizations that dissent from U.S. official positions on national foreign policy, international policy. In the course of its contract with the Pentagon, NewsGuard is acting jointly or in concert with the United States to coerce news organizations to alter viewpoints as to Ukraine, Russia, and Syria, imposing a form of censorship and repression of views that differ or dissent from policies of the U.S. and its allies, the complaint says. Now, the executive order reads that the First Amendment enshrines the right of the American people to speak freely in the public square without government interference. Over the last 4 years, the previous administration trampled free speech rights by censoring American speech on online platforms, often by exerting substantial coercive pressure on third parties, such as social media companies, to moderate, deplatform, or otherwise suppress speech the federal government didn't approve. Under the guise of combating quote-unquote misinformation or disinformation and malinformation, thank you, Nina fucking Jankowicz, cunt, the federal government infringed on the constitutionally protected speech rights of American citizens across the United States in a manner that advanced the government's preferred narrative about significant matters of public debate, like COVID, too. Government censorship speech is intolerable in a free society. Intolerable. Tell that to the pro-Palestine protesters. All right. The executive order sets out to secure the right of the American people to engage in constitutionally protected speech, which this is. Now, what they're going to do is try to deem anybody that supports anything that isn't that as terrorists. Syria too. Now, if you call out that HTS are actual terrorists, now that they're on our side, now you're the terrorist. The executive order also sets out to ensure that no federal government officer, employee, or agent engages in or facilitates any conduct that would unconstitutionally abridge the free speech of any American citizen. Well, certainly that happened to Consortium News and the people who want to read their stories. It also is supposed to ensure that no taxpayer resources are used to engage in or facilitate any conduct that would unconstitutionally abridge the free speech of any American citizen. Well, using the military and money from the military to pay NewsGuard certainly falls under that. And finally, it wants to identify and take appropriate action to correct past misconduct by the federal government related to censorship and protected speech. Exactly what happened here. Significantly, the EO says the Attorney General, in consultation with the heads of the executive departments and agencies, shall investigate the activities of the federal government over the last 4 years that are inconsistent with the purposes and policies of this order, quote unquote. The period in Consortium News' lawsuit falls within these 4 years. In a letter to Judge Polk Faia regarding the executive order, their attorney wrote a whole thing. All right, then they give you background on the case. NewsGuard's labeling of Consortium News as publishing false content is challenged in detail in the substantial complaint. And you've got to read that. Again, we stand by Consortium News. NewsGuard has been proven to be wrong multiple times, and they are a nanny state that is directly working for the Defense Department. And they certainly have a bias against anything that is challenging the U.S. State Department narrative. So, fuck NewsGuard. And hopefully this lawsuit doesn't get dismissed. But it sounds like the executive order solidifies in multiple ways why they should absolutely be held why NewsGuard should be held liable, as should the federal government. By the way, I believe that they're suing for $10 million, which isn't even enough.
Right.
Next. I'm not going to go through this one, but I wanted people to read it because at Wells Fargo, I saw firsthand how excessive CEO pay harms workers and customers. And this was written by somebody who was actually working for Wells Fargo at the time that they had their fake accounts scandal in 2016. All right. And apparently something like that is happening again, where they're being incentivized to do unseemly, untoward stuff. And again, it harms both workers and customers. So read that one. I got a couple others. Number one, unionized postal workers brace for Trump administration's assault. So we talked about the postal workers a couple of weeks ago. I had somebody in my on Twitter come at me and be like, Labor Notes is lying. This isn't really what's happening. I'm going to get like an 8 or 9% increase. Maybe if you add up 1.3% over the life of the agreement, maybe. And I don't know. But bottom line is that they're worried that they could end up disbanding the Postal Workers Union entirely and roll them into the federal government employees pool. They're just treated like every other regular federal employee at that point, even though they technically, rain, sleet, or snow, and they have a constitutional mandate and a carve out different from anybody else. Yeah. So there's that. And then there was this. Dangerous union busting. Trump rescinds collective bargaining for the air safety union. So the TSA workers, and this is a Brett Wilkins at Common Dreams and other Indie Media Award honoree. All right. This is DHS claimed in a statement that collective bargaining for the TSA security officers constrained the agency's chief mission of protecting transportation systems and keeping travelers safe. What? And that eliminating collective bargaining removes bureaucratic hurdles that'll strengthen workforce agility, enhance productivity and resiliency, while also jumpstarting innovation. Bullshit. It's getting rid of the workers' ability to collectively bargain with their job. That's what it's doing. Okay. So that's a pretty important article that you need to read from Common Dreams. Then I found this really weird story in FreightWaves. Pentagon wants to buy 10 cargo ships to bolster its aging logistics fleet. So,
okay, yeah,
they get
Merchant
a
Marine.
trillion, but wait a minute, they get a fucking $1 trillion a year, and they got to buy used cargo ships. All right, they want to buy 10 used cargo ships because the average age of the roll-on, roll-off ships, and they have 46 of them, is 47 years old. What the fuck have they been doing with all the money that we're giving them? They can't buy new ships.
Hammers.
They can't buy new ships?
Yeah.
How about no? 14 ships are 50 years old or older. So they haven't built new ships, and some are steam-powered. What are we doing here, people? Retire the fleet. First of all, we've already reported from Kit Clarenberg that our fleet is dead in the water as it is. Ask Answer Allah. That has now been deemed a terrorist group because our fleet was getting so badly crushed by them every time they went near Yemen. We did this thing. China, they war gamed out the sea, the South China Seas and the Taiwan Strait, and putting an aircraft carrier group in there. And within 20 days, the entire carrier group was sunk. They're dead in the water. They move slowly. They can be an excessive show of force. They can be a floating hospital or a floating city. But they're also giant targets that can't move quickly and can't evade drones. So, read this article from FreightWaves. It's fascinating. Then you have the conversation that I had with Golden Monarch. Finally, we were able to have, last time we did this, I messed up and I turned off his audio for some reason. So that kind of was a loss. But we went through a good hour and a half talking about Bitcoin and crypto and Ponzi, and is it a scam, and some of the people who were involved, and the money that they're making, and the inroads that they're making, and why they're doing it, and what the overall motivation is here, which is to control the future of the digital money supply and digital IDs and CBDCs, and have all the experience and control all the gates, and by the way, make all the fees. Yeah, that too. All right. So there's that. And then also I was on Hard Lens on Thursday night on a special Thursday night episode with Kit. I really appreciate him inviting us and having me on, talk about Rockfin and the article that I wrote about all the stuff that's been happening with Rockfin. They have continued to deplatform creators. I have not heard of any others that have been zeroed out, and I haven't heard of them paying out or converting anybody's Ray tokens into anything else yet. I was told that they were offering and negotiating, and that was the last I heard from anybody. I don't know if anyone's going to tell me that they got paid out. It would be nice if they did. If you did, please tell me. And of course, we've got INN newsletter, which we put out daily. We've got the daily summary as well as the weekly update that has all the live streams, all the clips, and all the articles that are put out, as well as any podcasts like we did for the Golden Monarch one, which you can listen to ad-free right there. Also, we've got Indie Media Today, where all the clips from How Do We Miss That? Live stream alerts on Sundays for the live stream, letting you know what it's going to be with all the links, at least the original link, not this one. Of course, I'll have to add that later. And then again, you've got all the clips, original articles, guest appearances, stuff about the Indie Media Awards. It's all here, man. Just come hang out, Indie Media Today. It's free. Coffee.
They're free.
Let's look at that guy's funny hair again.
Yeah.
Estonian Minister of he's an Estonian MP. What? Bro, that's Captain Kangaroo hair. That's what that is. That's where I recognize it from. All right. So, all right.
It don't make no motherfucking sense.
Right? All right. We're going to get to boats. Sorry, children. But crashes apparently happen. My computer sucks. It rigs well most of the time, except when it doesn't, which is usually when I need it to work the most.
Fix that.
It would be nice.
Great.
It would be nice. It usually is happening when OBS is open, and it is allegedly a kernel
Don't think so.
It's kernel exception error.
When also not open, but
nope. It's happened every time when it's open. But anyway, yeah. So we will see you at boats. Support independent media, like this. Like these people did. Cash App, $, Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network, and INNnewsletter.com, which I just showed you. So support independent media because we need it more than ever. And now we may need to upgrade my computer too. So support independent media because we need it more than ever, fam. Waiting for you.
Oh, yeah, I forgot we have a theme for that, don't we? Where's the fucking...
Bye, have a great time.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry.
My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say?
Can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? And now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen.
What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? God, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me.